Hey, good morning. How many dads in the room? I want to talk to you very briefly about a passion of mine. So I am a father, proud father of twins. I'd like to brag a little bit. I just got back from an honors convocation where they were recognized for being the top of their class. In fact, my daughter is ranked number 3 in her high school. So, well, thank you. I bring that up because we dads are very passionate about our kids. And one of the groups that I'm very passionate about here in Albuquerque is Fathers Building Futures. This is a unique group of individuals who, unlike most of us, weren't presented with a world of opportunities. If you think about entrepreneurship, you're usually starting because you have an abundance of something or a paucity of something. And these gentlemen have a paucity of opportunities, and so they chose to make their own opportunity. And what's great about this enterprise is it originally started out as a nonprofit, a 501c3, and they're right now rapidly making a transition from being a nonprofit into being a standalone social enterprise. They want to get out from the nonprofit grants proposal cycle and actually make their own way. And I find that to be outstanding. In fact, we need fewer 501c3s, right? So if you'll permit me, I would like to introduce someone who I have, over the past 9 months, just had a wonderful relationship with. Emmett and I have grown to be great friends over these past 9 months, and she is going to introduce a group of men who are working very hard to create their own way. So please help me welcome Emmett Mayan.
It's funny, the businessman asked you how many people in here are parents. So again, a show of hands of how many parents. The social worker is going to ask how many people pay taxes. Fathers Building Futures started to solve a problem. It started within PB&J Family Services, which is a nonprofit, been around since 1972. If you know of us, we're a child abuse prevention program. The entire point is to make sure that kids are safe. The only way to make sure that kids are safe is to make sure that their family is safe. In doing so, we've been working with incarcerated parents, those people who are in prison or jail, probably for 30 years. And we realized as social workers, from our experience, even the good work that we did, bringing people together, making sure they know their kids, making sure they're on their feet, making sure that they can succeed, with all the good stuff that we did, for us, one of the #1 reasons for them going back to prison was because they didn't have a job. Or they didn't have the skills. Either they didn't have the job or they didn't have the soft skills to know how to navigate that job world. And that's what we wanted to solve. So in 2011, we applied for an enormous grant, and the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services said yes to New Mexico. And they funded us to do what we always do, work with families who are incarcerated, and this time focus on fathers who are incarcerated, make sure that they're ready for when they get out. And the big chunk of that grant was to allow us to start our own business. So we named it Fathers Building Futures. And the gentlemen I'm here with today are going to talk with you about the business side. And I just wanted to make sure that there's that background. So that's the piece. What we're trying to do is create an avenue for people who would already go back to learn how to be stand-up dads and also stand-up employees, because we recognize that New Mexico needs that. So at this point, I want to turn it over to Vince, who runs our freight and delivery program. And when you hear this, imagine these 2 men were just like 225 others who came through our doors. They started as clients. We met them while they're incarcerated, got to know their families. And then they rose to be leaders among their peers. And then we decided, when we finished our grant, we said, we want the training wheels to come off. And John's right, we want to figure out how to do it on our own. If we can get there as a full-fledged, social enterprise running based on our revenue, great. That's what we want to do. We probably need more time, as both a nonprofit but we're trying to figure that out, and that's one of our questions. So we do woodworking, auto detailing, mobile power washing, and truck driving, freight and delivery. And between all those avenues, that's 225 people who came through. At the end, we held on to the 12 best. And so I'm going to introduce you now to those, starting with Vince from Freight and Delivery.
Hello. My name is Vincent Aragon. I am a transportation supervisor over Fathers Building Futures Freight and Delivery. Just to tell you a little bit about myself, so I'm a father of two. I have a 9-year-old little girl and a 6-year-old little boy. And unfortunately, I wasn't a part of their life for about the good first 3 or 4 years of their lives. I've always struggled with incarceration, just trying to break out of that cycle, and that was something I've always had a hard time doing. But I'm happy to say today I have permanent custody of my daughter and joint custody of my son. We just bought our own house. They all have their own room to sleep in. You know, it's been a rough ride, but today we're making it. So, thank you. So I started off with Fathers Building Futures about 2.5 years ago. I started off in our auto detailing. From there, I worked my way up to a manager over our mobile unit that we have. Let's see, so we started our CDL program. This is the first time, and you know, I always thought about getting a CDL, but I never thought it might be right for me. But we started doing this program. I was lucky enough to be one of the first groups to go through. Since we started that, I've seen 24 men go through and get their class B CDLs, and out of those, 12 of them got their Class A. I'm proud to say that out of those 24 men, not a single one has gone back to prison. So, and out of those 24, 19 are currently working on jobs of their own. The other 4 we currently have driving for us. The primary people that we drive for is Roadrunner Food Bank. But you know, we can't stay there forever. But they've been our on-the-job training as well as our mentors from the very beginning. And so I'd like to give a huge thanks to them. So, sorry, I don't do this too often.
Great job.
Thank you. Anyways, so currently we have 1 tractor. We have 2 refrigerated box trucks that we have available to run routes. You know, we can't stay at Roadrunner Food Bank forever, so currently we've been trying to get other places to drive our routes for. We've been having kind of a difficult time because, as you know, we do come from felony backgrounds, and a lot of people have you know, not too good of thoughts when it comes to gentlemen like that. But I'm proud to say that all of the gentlemen that I work with strive 10 times harder than any gentleman that, you know, might just come straight from off the streets or come from wherever. You know, we strive harder. We have children, and we work as hard as we can to make sure that we can provide for our families. And that's something that, you know, knowing where we come from, we know we have to strive that much harder. And so right now, we're trying to find other companies so we can drive for. Just trying to keep the business afloat, you know, because it's not just about the gentlemen that are in it now. It's about the other gentlemen that are coming out of prison, that are trying to get back into their families' lives, that just can't find their ways. They don't have the tools, they don't have the resources. And that's something that PB&J, Fathers Building Futures, is able to offer. So I'd like to thank you for your time. I would like to introduce Joseph Shaw.
Thank you. So a quick introduction of myself. My name is Joseph Shaw. I'm the woodshop supervisor at Fathers Building Futures. A little brief history. I too struggled with incarceration and addiction. I've been clean now for 4 years. I've been married for 2.5. I've been working with Fathers Building Futures for around 3. I've been supervising men for almost 2 years now. And in them 2 years, I've seen 50+ men come in and out of the program and just come through our wood shop alone. There's been more men through the program, but just through my wood shop alone, it's been over 50. Some have made it, some haven't. Unfortunately, that's the balance that we deal with, and that's okay. My family was up here in the corner. I hope you saw them. That's my wife, Kaylee, my daughter, Destiny, and my son. Joseph, he's not in the photo. He lives in El Paso with his mom, but that's my family. That's what I live for every day. That's what I work for every day. Out of those 50 men, right now, currently, I have 3 men in the wood shop, including myself. And 2 of them are over there, Mr. Richard Webb and Mr. Joseph Martinez. I couldn't have 2 better men by my side every day. I take my hat off to them. I have above a mutual respect for them. I consider them my friends. I consider them like family. Because together, with extensive work, prototypes, effort, creativity, we've come up with a lot of products that we market and sell locally. Somewhere on a table in the back that I invite you to take a look at before you walk out today. This is one of our more proud products. It's a 100% all natural kosher casket. We call it kosher, but it can just be your average pine box. There's no animal byproducts in the glue. There's no wood, no metal, no pins, no screws. Everything's just wood and glue. That's it. So we've pulled the MSDS sheets on the glue, made sure there was no animal byproducts, no contaminants, no nothing like that. And we've also been fortunate to get the blessing of 5 local rabbis to certify its authenticity in kosher to accommodate the Jewish, Muslim, or even just your average farmer that wants to be buried in a pine box. The creativity of that is Mr. Martinez. He's dedicated his full work hours and all his time into perfecting that product right there. We also have our heart-shaped love urns, which is, I got to give all the credit to Mr. Webb. Richard, he has put an extensive amount of time into making those just the right size, because we take into consideration that's going to be the final resting place of somebody's loved one. So there is no exceptions for failure. So upon completing and perfecting these, and through about a year of building a relationship, we earned the trust of French Mortuary. They have been one of our biggest supports. They've helped in mentoring us into the funeral industry, which is a lot more difficult than we had initially planned. It's not like selling a cutting board, you know, like it's a lot. So they've been one of our biggest supports. So it's been a journey, and it's been a privilege also. So you can check us out locally on our website, fathersbuildingfutures.com. You can come to our downtown farmers market. We're there every other Saturday through the whole summer till November. We do shows like the Fiery Food Show, the Coffee and Chocolate Show. That's mostly where we market our products. So we appreciate any support. And at Fathers Building Futures, we have a vision. It's for our men to experience true freedom. True freedom can be a difference in opinion in everybody. In my opinion, it's no limits. The only things professionally and personally, the only thing standing in front of you in success is you and the boundaries that you put or that you allow. So in the end, it's all worth it, and it's been fun. So thank you.
So we really wanted to come here and ask you questions because you're the business community, and we just sort of came up with an idea, and we have some questions. And I started with asking about your taxes because it costs New Mexico $40,000 every time someone gets incarcerated. So we're in that with you. The questions that we're at this point, we had a huge grant. We're a $750,000 project, and we're doing it all on our own, and we don't yet make nearly that. So in order to take our training wheels off and go fully sustainable, we want to figure out, how do we break into a monopoly of the funeral industry? We've got some really good partners in the, from community places, but taking on, sort of the Goliath of the suppliers that provide to funeral homes is a whole different way of doing business. And, that's a dark hallway for us that we're looking for advice on. The second is, we have a freight and delivery program where we've got drivers and a fleet where they're insured, we've got everything, they're certified, they're insured, and we want to be able to drive fleets for other people, for other companies, and we don't yet know how to do that. And then overall, we have a model where we're taking people and rising them up to give them the skills. And there's a temptation often to say, well, let's take a salesman from the outside, or let's take an operations person or a business person. And that's a great idea, but that's not our model. Our model is we want to take from what we've got and learn. So those are sort of our 3 questions that we're looking at, we're stumped with. But if you have any other questions, we're here to answer, or advice.